Welcome to Beyond the Box.
Our guests are insiders that are now out and on our side, dropping nuclear intel and breaking it down just for you.
And now it's time to introduce our hosts, Brenda Lankridge and Suzanne Haunt. Join us and subscribe for weekly shows. Beyond the Box begins now. Let's jump in.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Box. Hello, Denise and Norma. And everybody, thanks for coming. Tonight, our guest got a little sick. She's got a stomach bug, so we hope that she'll be doing okay. You didn't get the notification again, Norma? What on earth is going on with this? Yeah, I think YouTube's having some problems. I'm not sure exactly why they're having it, but they are. But so tonight, Susie and I, and hopefully Tommy will be along here in a little bit, we're going to have a discussion about trust, about what else, Susie? It's scandalous people. We're going to definitely have a talk about that one because I'm sure that we all know some. And we are both going to be as civil as possible bringing up this discussion. So I did a video the other night on an individual that I was having some issues with, and a lot of people were having issues with. So I did a little short video on it, and we're going to kind of do the same thing, but not with that person. This person is completely different. Some of you know of her and some of you may not. But there are a lot of things going around about Susie and I that were started by this person. So we need to clean the slate, basically, because what is being said is not true. And Susie and I, to tell you the truth, we're getting kind of tired of being kicked around like, a bunch of soccer balls. I mean, we're good people. We're good people. We've done good things for people. And we just don't think that it's right that other people can speak out and say these nasty little things about us. And we've tried to be the bigger people and just not said anything. And we have been. But, it's something that really has to be addressed because it has cost Susie and I an awful lot. So, in the prayers tonight, everybody, please keep Lou in your prayers. He's having some medical problems. He messaged me last night, so it's we want to pray for him tonight and make sure he gets better soon. So yeah. So Susie, I don't know about you, but
remember I was telling you before Petty Bradley's been going through a lot of
yes,
health issues. So, I'm going to lift her up to God too, and Jesus to touch her and heal her body also. Also, a couple of my friends in Florida said that they were feeling sick today, and our guest was sick, and was throwing up today, and she's in Florida. So, prayers for them that, God will touch them and send healing to them. They'll feel better. So I think there's a lot of that going around right now. Um, you know, some stuff in the air, people getting sick and
It's in the water.
well, not just that, we talk about people being energy weapons, hit with stuff making them sick. A lot of the targeted individuals, and then everything else that's happening, and we all need our health, we all need our strength, to get through all this stuff.
Right.
So, and you went through a hell of experience, this last few months, so, it's a miracle. I mean, you were miracle that you came
Yeah.
through like you did. But you had a special visitor in your hospital room that came to you
Yes.
that and started telling you things that they knew about, a lot of things that we were having problems with, and said that we were going to be okay.
Yep. And then
So,
last week, after we did one of our shows last week, I was up after the show talking to Tommy, and I told him my ears are ringing so loud they hurt. And then I felt something on my right ear, and I went to swipe it, and it was a little blood, and my eardrum busted. I can't hear out of my right ear right now. I know it'll heal. It'll get better. Usually when eardrums bust, they do. It just takes time. And I said, what on earth is going on? And that's when he said, oh, energy weapon. I said, oh, good possibility, because it was just the weirdest thing ever. Both of my ears were just ringing so loud. It was actually giving me a headache. They were ringing so loud. And then this one just,
wow,
and the ringing stopped.
that's so
I don't know.
scary, Brenda.
There's so many
Yeah.
weird things going on nowadays that I'm just like, I just take it with a grain of salt and just laugh about it. So, yeah. So, Susie, go ahead and let's do our prayers and we
All
will
right.
get started.
Well, I asked the Father in Jesus' name to uh, give us this, I guess, the green light to say what we need to say, and and if there's something that we're not supposed to say, that He gives us that, we don't go down that road or whatever, because really what our goal is to help other people, survivors, and people who have been through a lot of this stuff, and get people's voice out, get people's story out. And most of the people that we encounter have had some really traumatic experiences in their life, so they understand the attack, they understand the trauma, they get it, and I'm sure many people are trying to figure out the whole picture, the whole picture. And so I just ask that, that whatever comes of this, that it is beneficial and helpful, and not harmful to anybody, in Jesus' name. you
Hi, Woo. I wasn't expecting it. Now,
know
when Woo messaged me last night, when I got the message, um, I prayed for him last night, and I'm glad to see you here. Well, you know what? We got you. Everybody's going to be praying for you, and Penny Bradley too. She's not been feeling well. Our guest that was supposed to come in tonight came down with a little bit of a flu. Um, so we were going to have to improvise, but this is something that's kind of been long coming. We're going to stay graceful in this. Um, this is not a mean attack, although it's been happening to us, and it's all right. We're big people, we can handle it. But we are in the community of truth telling. And when that comes under attack, or when there is somebody who is playing the game for their own benefit, that I don't want to stand and witness, because it could eventually cause harm to people. I mean, there are people that have been trying to get out and tell their story that have gone to certain people and they've said, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'll put you on a show," and then they never get a call back, and they need to speak or they're looking for answers, and so that I think is what we're going to take an approach with tonight and try to settle a couple of things. And the one thing that I want to say for myself is, by under no means and no circumstances am I on anything other than prescription medications. This girl ain't on drugs, hasn't been in probably 35 years. And it was because I was younger, I experimented with stuff. Nothing too hard, but still, now, no, I am not. So, yeah. Well, Susie,
So,
like,
so with that, I guess what we're going to be discussing is Penny L.A. Shepherd.
yes.
So that's our subject matter, and this is a difficult one because I spent 6.5 years of my life with this person every day, and a very very close in my home. Um, very became very close to this person like a sister, um, and allowed this person into my home with my family and stuff like that. Now, the reason that we're talking about this was because some people know Penny Shepherd, some people don't know Penny Shepherd, but Penny Shepherd is also on a podcast. She's also speaking to a lot of the people that we talk to, and and so there's a lot of in this community of people who want disclosure. Um, like you were saying, Brenda, there's a lot of people who wanted to get their story out, and maybe you can't, and there's a lot of different agencies, say like Gaia and those things that they're supposed to be out there to help people, or there's different, shows that people go on to try to get their story out and stuff like that. So with with that we're in this community, we're all interacting with the same type of people. Um, that's what we had a little issue with Rocco, um, and the other day, and so you reached out and said don't want to participate with somebody that hasn't got their life in the right track yet, and so that's kind of what happened. So with that, we have made a decision. Brenda and I had made a decision to just really not say anything. But a lot of people have, I'm sure, asked you, Brenda. A lot of people have come to me and said, "What happened? I want to know what."
Uh oh. And there goes your internet. Give her a minute. It should pop back up. No, Woo, it was the one where you said to pray for you because you were dealing with some stuff. Let me know when you're back, Susie, because your internet's kind of popping up and down.
Oh, am I back?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. So with that, I just wanted to give my side of the story. There's always two sides to everything. And Brenda and I became really close friends back. Well, it started with Grizzly. Grizzly came on the Awake Nation, and then Grizzly was doing shows and stuff on the Awake Nation with Penny and Dave, and then Grizzly was going to do some like they were going to do some remote viewing or some stuff about a person who came up missing. And so Penny recommended me to them, that because, I see things and stuff like that. And so she recommended me to go on that show. And so that's how I met Glenn. And so I was in the back, and then Glenn brought me in, and I had had a dream earlier that day, which I thought was the silliest dream because it was about some woman who was really happy, like on the beach or something. I didn't really know. And I didn't know anything about this case. They didn't tell me anything. I didn't know what I was doing. And all I know is I had a dream earlier. And I thought, and so when they asked me on the show to say what happened, I said, all I saw was this happy woman. And that's all I had. I thought, well, that's not a very psychic, perception of what's going on. And I'm like, oh, that's just going to sound stupid, but that's all I had. And so they were like, well, that's kind of weird. And because weren't we talking about how his wife was happy and did this big thing because she found his backpack that washed in on the beach, and it was the only evidence of him, this backpack. And so I was like, I was a little concerned, that I had, like, oh Lord, I had come on,
Dreams don't fail me now.
yeah, I'm like, my intuition here or whatever, my visions, So so in the process, after I met Glenn, and Penny got very upset because they didn't bring her into the show, and because she said she had some stuff, but um, but Glenn and I talked for quite a while. And so after the next day, we were on the phone talking, and he was telling me about himself and stuff, and we were just talking, and he was talking about the shows that he was doing and stuff like that. So you have to tell that side of the story now because it's about you. So you know that side better than I do of what.
Yeah, Glenn wanted to do a different show, and he wanted me to pick one. So we were going to do a show about serial killers and um, cases like that. Well, the person I was going to do it with went and did something else. So he says, "Well, I've got somebody that you might be able to get along with and do this." So that's when I met Susie, and we started doing the show on that. But it was rough because when you're doing something like that and you have somebody else in there that just has control of everything, he was letting people in there that were basically harassing us. They were coming on harassing us. So Susie and I just started talking, and we would sit up in the middle of the night for hours and hours on the phone, talking about the Bible, talking about, just all kinds of things. So we got to know each other very well. And I don't think Penny realized how long we had actually been talking and how much talking we had done. So yeah, it was one of those things. So I had gone out to the house one time and didn't, was only there for a few hours. And then I had arranged to go out there for a weekend. And I was there for 3 days and 2 nights. I stayed in the house with Penny.
Because I have another little house that I stayed in on the property, and it rained, I think, the whole time, didn't it? It was
Yeah.
thundered and
So I
lightning and
basically,
rain.
yeah, so I basically was kind of stuck in the house. And while I was there, my dog, the first night we were there, he barked all the time. And then after that, he didn't bark at anybody else in the house that walked across the floor except for Penny. He would be, we stayed in the bedroom most of the time with the door closed. My dog had 3 seizures while I was there out of nowhere for no reason. I don't know why. But the day that I was getting ready to leave, Susie and Penny kind of had a snitpick with each other. Penny kind of, I don't know, she was angry about something, and I don't know what it was. I was getting ready to leave, and so we came. I came home, and I had talked to my uncle on the phone, and I had found out some very disturbing things that had happened, and I was upset. And anytime I found anything out and I got upset, I would call Penny. Penny always said, "Call me," you know. Well, I did. And I was angry, and out of anger, instead of turning around saying that I just really need to go kick his ass, I turned around and said, "Man, I just need to go kill him." Okay, my bad. Bad choice of words. But I wasn't going to do that. So, anyways, she took it literally, or after a while, we realized it was just an excuse to use. So I had gone somewhere, and when I had went to that place, I had called Penny. I had a surprise for her, so I went to video call her. She didn't answer it. And then she sent me a message right away telling me that she didn't have time for me. She's tired of people sucking her time up. I cried, honestly. I don't even know what I felt. I was upset. I was like, what on earth is going on here? You know? And then I tried to call Susie. Susie didn't answer. And I'm sitting over here going, what is going on? So in the meantime, Penny had called Tommy. And once again, I don't think she realized what good friends Tommy and I had become. And she tried to wedge in between me and Tommy and started saying all this stuff that was blindsided him. He was like, what? But the only thing he kept telling everybody was, let me talk to Brenda first. Okay. So finally, I tried again to call Susie, and she answered. So Susie, you can pick it up from here.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go back a little bit on the story a little bit. That day that you were leaving, and Penny got real snippety, and she got real, like, her anger kicked in, and I told her that she needed to apologize, for acting like that, because she started acting out of, you know, she started, whatever it was, I don't know exactly at that point. And I mean, at that point, I didn't know what was going on with her, other than she was just kind of becoming very angry, about something. So after you left, she started talking really bad about you, and saying that you were on drugs, and that you were wheeling around in the house going wee in your wheelchair, and I don't know, it's like, you know, and I was like, what? Because I'm like, I didn't see any of that, so I was like, well, I don't know what she's talking about, and so she just started talking, just really angry, real negative stuff about you, and stuff like that. And so then what she told me was, I had she had told me about the conversation that you had about your uncle. And now this is the funny part. I guess I can laugh about this part of it, because being a conspiracy person, we're always going, I wonder if, and I'm sure many people have done that, could this mean this, or could that mean that, or could that person be that person, or we
No,
start to
no.
like.
Mind you, I said that I went somewhere. Okay. So that's what she's getting at. Where did she go? What is she doing? Oh my God. She went to go kill him. Oh,
Oh,
so yeah.
so yeah, so the next thing, okay, so Penny's like freaking out because and Penny's saying, yeah, Brenda's saying she wants to commit suicide, and I'm like, what? Which that was not true, but it was just like she was like blowing it up into like, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? So then what happened was she's telling me, this whole conversation, she's gonna go kill her uncle, and she's gonna commit suicide, and she's on drugs, and I'm like, what? you know and so I'm out at the barn talking to Roger, and the next thing I know, uh, I see that you were on the Awake Nation, and you were commenting, and that you were
Right.
at the
Exactly.
airport. Yeah, you're at the airport
I'm going to
somewhere,
the
and
airport. I think I was talking to Norma.
so okay, I think so. Yeah, and I'm like, what? Where's Brenda going? She's like my best friend. She didn't tell me anything. She's like, where? I would know if she was going to go somewhere, and she would tell me. I'm like, we talk all night, and I'm like, Roger, I'm really worried. I'm like, did she go on a plane to go kill her uncle or something? You know, and I'm like, but no, why? I'm like freaking out, and I'm like, and I said, oh my God, I don't know what, my brain is just going like, crazy, because I can't figure out, because I know you didn't have the money to go anywhere, and how did you get on an airplane and fly somewhere? And now you're in Florida? And I'm like, wait a minute, the uncle doesn't live in Florida. He's like out in California or somewhere. So is she going there first? And then what? I'm like confused here, like what is going on? You know,
Everybody
so,
was in a state of confusion.
oh
Right.
my God. And I'm like totally like freaking out. So I decide I better go warn Penny. Oh my God. I better go warn Penny, because so I go to the house. This is where it gets so funny, kind of. So I go to the house and I said, Penny, you know what? Brenda's on a plane, and she's going somewhere, and you said she was going to go kill her uncle, and she told you on your phone, and the police are going to come knocking on your door and say you knew this was going to happen, and you didn't tell nobody, and you're going to get a knock on the door. And she's like, oh, Penny's freaking out now, because thinking, she's going to like be part of this whole thing. And then, and she's like, well, what do I do? And I said, I think maybe you should call Dave at the Awake Nation. You should call Dave. Dave would know what to do. She's like, so she calls Dave, you know. So and Dave's like, "Oh, Penny, you better just get off of their show. You better get off Beyond the Box, and you better step away." And so Penny goes, "Okay." Dave said just to step away from it all, and I said, So I mean, it was like this snowball, Brenda, that turned
Yep.
into the abominable snowman. You know what I
Oh,
mean? This
it turned into the ice walls falling into the ocean.
the ice monster, yeah, the ice monster, yeah, it turned into the ice monster.
Yeah.
So I'm like starting this avalanche with this snowball of all these events, and Penny's freaking out, and so meanwhile, Penny's calling Tommy, and she's just going like that, telling him all this stuff, and Tommy, I don't think he knew what the hell was going on. None of us did, and so then she's like, okay, I talked to Tommy, and Tommy says that do not talk to Brenda until he talks to Brenda first. And I'm like, oh, so Brenda tries to call me, right? You try to call me, and I can't answer the phone because I'm trying to honor Tommy, and I'm like, oh no. So I'm feeling really bad. So later that day, you tried calling me again, and I was at the Home Depot at the counter, and now I really want to talk to you so bad, but because I don't know what is going on. I am freaking out. but I'm trying to honor it. But it's like 5:30, and I'm like, Tommy's still at work, and I'm like, hell with it. So I just call you back. I said I can't get I'll call you back because, and then you tell me everything. You had to go to Florida, and
Yeah.
it had nothing to
Anyway,
do with.
no, killing my uncle, nothing. It
Yeah.
was all, yeah. So anyway, so in this whole thing, I get a message saying I'm leaving the show. I said, okay, why? And she said, I don't have time. I just can't be involved in this. All this stuff. Now I'm confused. I was really confused, and I'm upset because I entrusted her with everything, and no explanation, no nothing. So I finally get to talk to Susie, and Susie explains everything to me, and I explain everything to her. And not only did I explain it, because she's over here going, well, she said that you didn't call her. I said, oh, did she? Hang on. So I went in and I screenshotted the conversation and the phone call, and I sent it to Susie, and I said, Susie, why would I lie that I tried to call her and she didn't answer? So here it is. So Susie goes over there to talk to her, show her what I sent her. Um, she was telling Susie, what was she telling you? It's okay. I'll start a show for you and all this other
Well,
stuff.
first she says here. So the way it kind of came to that moment is after you sent me the screenshot of the missed call to her on Messenger, and then her texting you telling you that you were sucking her energy and she didn't have time for that. And yeah, and when I asked her, I said, Brenda said she tried to call you, and she said she never called me. And I said, well, you had a conversation with her and told her, that she was sucking your energy. She goes, I never had a conversation with her. So Brenda went ahead and screenshotted it and sent it to me. So I walked over to the house and I showed it to Penny. Here's the where it says missed call, a messenger, and here's the text. And instead of saying, I lied or I'm sorry, she blew up and started screaming at me. And she started saying, now I'm the enemy. I'm the enemy. And she's screaming it. So I had to walk out of the house because I am not going to engage with anybody who starts screaming and yelling and, and denial and lying about something. All she had to do was say, "Hey, I made a mistake," you know, whatever it was, and make it right. But no, she just blew up and got angry. So I walked away, and I went back to the house, and I, talked to you, called you, and I think at that point, I was a little bit shocked that that when confronted with the evidence to Penny, she blew up and started screaming at me. Because I always had been told by Penny that she was somebody who tells the truth. And clearly, she was not telling the truth. Clearly, she was in denial of it. And clearly, she didn't want us, apparently, to be friends. So she was, you know, and this is the thing, that you know, I couldn't understand, but the thing that why she was like that. Um and so when I um went back to the house, I called you and I said, you know Brenda, I said, I don't want to be on the Awake Nation anymore, because how can I look at Penny in the face and know that she lied to me, flat up lied to me, and then when I showed her in her face her lie, she's screaming and yelling at me. Okay. So I'm like, am I going to be sitting there on a show with her and looking her in the face and knowing what I know? And I said, you know what? I don't think so. I think we'll just do our show, and I'm going to step away from her show. And so I I told Penny in a very polite way that I just didn't want to do the Awake Nation anymore. Well, first they had me on for 30 minutes, and then she would do the introduction, and I maybe had 15 minutes to tell my story, and I couldn't do it in 15 minutes. And then I got on the Dark Outpost for an hour after that, and then there was maybe 30 to 60 views on the whole thing, and you had to pay to get into it. And and then I was like doing all that on Fridays, and then our show on Friday night, and it was just too much for me anyway. And I have a farm, and so it was like a relief not to have to do that many shows in one day, right? Because it just seemed non-productive what I was doing there. Anyway, so at that point, I just made that decision. So Penny was like, okay, at first, and then she's like, well, I hope you come back to our show, and I will help you and Brenda as much as I can. I will, so she offered to help our stuff and everything. And I just said, that's okay. I'm just gonna you know, just do our show. So at that point, I was a little bit shocked because Penny had been living with me for 6.5 years, and I had never, okay, so I had been around Penny all the time. And so there was never like it's a triangle where you have three people, like you and me and Brent and Penny. So whenever like Penny and I like were around each other all the time, then if she met a guest or I met somebody, and then something would come up, she would always, tell me this, this, and this, and so I just believed everything she said. I just pretty much accepted everything she said.
You walked away
So
from a lot of people because of that.
yes, I did. I was, because she was telling me, like this person's bad, this person's bad, this person's bad, and I, put my trust in, everything that she said, and I went along with it because it just seemed like she was in the community trying to do that kind of stuff, and but after this situation happened with us, it changed everything, because now I seen Penny in a different light. I saw Penny um, as somebody who is not an honest person, doesn't tell the truth. And she wasn't willing to say she was sorry when she got caught lying, and had she just said she was sorry, I would have forgiven her easily.
And
I mean, I'm
you
a very forgiving person.
you wanted her to apologize to me because it got all
Hmm.
blown out of proportion, and she refused to do that too, which upset me because I thought that she was my friend, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it was really hurtful to you because you were blindsided and you didn't see um, all this stuff was going on. You didn't know why it was going on. You were so excited to come out here and hang out with us, and it should have been a really good experience. Everything should have been good, and everybody should have been very supportive of each other. And that's not what transpired, and
Right.
and and so things escalated from there. I kept my peace and I stayed calm throughout the whole thing, and I talked with you quite a bit during this whole episode, and I just kind of stayed away from Penny at this point. And Penny kept telling me that she had invited a woman out to the house that was from North Carolina, and that this woman was coming to buy a horse, a very expensive horse, from me, and that would I be able to sell this horse to her? And I said, sure. Um, so this woman apparently flew in, took a car, drove about an hour to get here. And when she got here, Penny walked her over to my house. And, you know, when she got here, she said, I have my Bible. And she brought her Bible with her. And, um, and I said, okay. And so I thought with what was going on that I didn't know what Penny was up to. And I didn't know what this was about. And so I decided not to mention, because Penny had told me it was about a horse. Now, Roger said when she got here, she got out of the car and he said, are you here to buy the horse? She goes, oh, no, I'm not here to buy the horse. I'm here to stay. And, but he didn't tell me that until later because Penny brought her over to my house right away. And then the lady came in, we sat down and we started talking. And she told me that her parents work for the Pat Robertson or no, Tammy Faye Baker and the Bakers in North Carolina.
Yep.
And she had an account where she was known as Molly, but when she got here, she said her name was not Molly, it was really Amy. So Penny didn't even vet this lady, and Penny said she vets everybody because she's a researcher. She didn't even know this lady's name. She didn't even know who this person was, apparently. She said, I didn't know. I didn't know her name was really Amy. I thought it was, or I didn't know it was, yeah, I thought it was Molly. Okay. You know, and so at that point, we, this woman comes in and we're talking, and I'm not going to say nothing about a horse, Brenda, because if she's here to buy a horse, then she's going to say something about a horse.
Right.
I just want to see what's going on at this point because I'm now become very suspicious. I become very alerted to what's going on. And I decided at this point that I am not going to say anything or do anything. I'm just going to let her talk about what she wants to talk about. And so as she's sitting there talking to me, she says to me, I am not a Christian. And I'm more goth. I like dark fingernails and stuff like that. And she said, I'm kind of dark, you know, and I took that as, you know,
yeah,
Satan, dark, right? I mean, she says, I'm kind of dark. And I said, oh, like you're in a cave, dark? Because I don't want to like say anything. I'm just listening. And she said, yeah, like in a cave, dark. And I said, oh. So then I said, well, I changed the subject. How did you meet Penny? And she says, I didn't meet Penny. Penny found me. And then she shows me on Twitter where Penny contacted her. And I had just did a big show about Loki's daughter, Hel. And that daughter of Hel is known in the charismatic churches like the Baker's Church and all that as a spirit of Emma, who did the revivals and stuff like that. So I had just done this whole thing about the religious demonic spirit of Hel that was like coming like an angel, okay, in the churches under the name of Emma. But so Hel looks like, in the Mexican culture, looks like Santa Marta, same being. So this is all relevant because I had just done this thing, and then I had just called out the whole thing about the churches, and and the Awake Nation and Penny had just done this big show about Micah Miller, the little girl whose husband was a preacher in North Carolina, and he was sex trafficking his wife. And then the next thing you know, she's trying to divorce him, and then she ends up dead out in a park. And so Penny reached out to Micah Miller's dad and brought him on the Awake Nation. Okay, so this is all relevant. Okay, so this woman pulls out her phone and shows me on Twitter a picture of hell, you know, Santa Marta. And it's the woman with the mask and all that, like death, the spirit, I am
Right.
death, the spirit of death, whatever, right? And in it, she texted on Twitter, if I was to go out into public and wear a mask, what would I look like every day? This is what I would look like. She would look like the spirit of death. Okay. And so Penny had responded to that on the text, and that's how she met this woman. Now, I had just did the show about this, and now Penny's reaching out to a woman who said that she would be this person, okay? And then Penny invites this person to my home, okay? And when I went, and Brenda and I went on to Truth Finder, and we went into her site. Well, on this woman's site, I found a half nude picture of Micah Miller on this site, and this woman Molly was sex traffickingly showing pictures like of naked type tattooed women in that area, in the church area, that North Carolina area. And the dead Micah Miller was on her page. So I thought, what the hell? Okay, like this woman was she the madam of, because their family worked with this religious organization, and then this girl's pictures on her deal, and now this girl's dead. So, and then Penny is talking to this girl's father and saying, we're going to help you, we're going to do all this stuff, or, and I'm like, okay, this is really creeping me out, like this whole scenario. So I said, okay, I'm not going to say anything, I'm just going to keep to myself and just see where this goes. And so I took them out to dinner. And when we went out to dinner, Penny says, we're sitting there at the table, and Penny says to the woman, I love you. I love you so much. You're just such a nice, kind person, and I just love you so much. And I was like, oh my God, Brenda, she's love bombing this woman. Love bombing her. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what love bombing is? I'm like, she doesn't even know this woman. And I'm like, what is she doing? And then the woman looks across the table and she goes, I love you too. And she looks at me and she said, I love you. And I'm like, I didn't know what to say. And I'm like, I love you. Yeah. Like I'm a little freaked out.
Right.
And then the waitress comes, right? Then the waitress comes with the bill, and she gives me a bill from, like, me and Penny and my son, and gives her a bill. And the lady, signs it, and then the waitress takes it off. And Penny had taken her money out and put it on the table next to our receipt, and she put like 3 5s and 3 1s for her food. And then when she did that, she put it there, and then she saw the girl gave the ticket to the waitress, and Penny goes, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. It was so nice of you to do that. And the lady goes, oh, do you want me to pay your bill? And I went, no. I'm like, and I said, Penny, don't you see the bill right here? And Penny's like, oh, I'm half blind. I can't see anything. And and at that moment, my son reaches across the table and grabs the 3 5s. And he says, I'll take that. Roger needs that for cigarettes. And there goes Penny's $15. Like, she's not getting her bill paid because Joel just took it. My son has never done anything like that. He always asks politely for everything. And I'm like, God, I think that she's going to pay her bill.
Right.
So at that point, all I wanted to do was get in the truck and drive home and, just get away from them. And I was so freaked out, at that point. And I was like, oh my God, then Penny tells me, oh, she's giving me $150 a month for the dogs. And she's giving me money. And I'm like, oh my God, because supposedly this woman had inherited $33 million or something. And so this is why Penny invited her up here. She goes, I thought she was going to buy a horse. The woman didn't even talk about a horse the whole time she was here. She didn't even, there was nothing about a horse, you know. So I was like, okay, so I go into Truth Finder. I find out this woman has 6 aliases. 6. And she's got all these names and all these homes, and and she's into witchcraft and stuff like this. And I'm like, okay. So Penny really vetted this woman and really knew this woman, and she brought her into my home. So at that point, I went over to talk to Roger, and I said, I can't believe she brought somebody like this into my home, And Roger goes, well, you need to go talk to her. And I said, I don't want to go talk to Penny because she's going to blow up and, whatever. And he said, no, you need to go talk to her. I was like, okay. So I was like, all right. So Brenda, I'm going to have you on the phone when I go over to talk to Penny. But you need to put it on mute. Okay. And that way, you don't accidentally make a noise and she knows that, you're listening to this conversation, but I need you as a witness to what I go over and say. Right. And so I walk into the house and I say, Penny, basically, that is the third witch that you brought into my home. Okay. And you gave me an oath that you would never bring any more witches into my house and that you would research, but you didn't. And I said, most people, if they want to hang out with people, they will tell them to get a hotel room. And then you can go, if you want to do that, then you go to town and you hang out with that person. But you don't need to bring them into my home and with my family. Okay. And so then what do you remember, Brenda, in that conversation? Because you were listening to the whole thing.
She said, Susie said, you brought a witch, and I knew you were going to say that, is what she said. I knew you were going to say that she was a witch. I knew it. Okay. And then Susie just wanted Penny to apologize to me because we were all talking about moving together and being on the same property. So Susie told her, and I'm going to be bringing Brenda out. She's going to be moving out here. And Penny was like, when? And she said, I don't know. We haven't worked out the details and all that stuff. And she started yelling at Susie. So Susie said, that's it. I'm walking away. I'm leaving. I'm not going to sit here. I never said you were evil. I never said.
She started screaming. She started screaming, you say I'm evil. You say I'm evil. And I go, I never said that. And then she goes, you said I'm evil. And I go, those words never came out of my mouth. And I am walking out the door right now.
Yep, she sure did. And she locked herself in the house.
And I never spoke to Penny again. From that moment, that was my last conversation with Penny. I walked over to my house. And at that point, I blocked Penny on Facebook. And I kind of said, you know what, that's the second blow up already, and this is really getting out of hand. She's bringing this, the whole thing was out of hand, and so I'm just stepping away from it, and then the next thing I know, I get a text on my phone, and Penny says, it was that evening, right? It was like a little bit later that evening. She texts me and says that she would be moving out and on Monday after the show. I did not respond to her text. I didn't answer. I didn't say anything. And so then so I told Roger and Joel that Penny would be leaving on Monday, and they said, we'll help her load her stuff or whatever she needs, I said, okay. So at that point, she got out, Monday after the show. She packed up and left, and I think I had 28 bags of trash that she left in the house. And the house had, I think, 23 dead rats in it, and
It was the
um,
last count was
full
23.
of roaches. I mean, they were everywhere, and spiders all over, and um, so she left all this stuff behind, and I had to fumigate the whole house, and it was horrible. And the smell of the dead rats they were all in the food cupboards, most of them, and it was awful. You know, when I went in there to try to clean everything out of there. Now, she had thrown away like bags and bags of trash. So I decided to go through the trash to see what all Penny was throwing away. And in the process, there was about 100 books of diary since 2017, like a diary, Penny's logging of all her information. And that's where things get interesting. And so
Uh,
I
I
decided
want to
to,
I want
what?
to cut in for a minute. So on that note, it has been going around that Susie betrayed Penny, and that um, Penny made her move, made her leave. That did not happen. She, if anybody was betrayed, I think it was Susie, um, for trusting in her for 6.5 years and taking care of her. Because what, and just so that everybody knows, okay, plans were, plans are, I'm not going to be moving into that house where Penny was at. Susie's
No,
getting all her woods chopped down, and her and Roger are going to build me a handy capable home where I can get my wheelchair in and out of every room, and I can reach the counters so that I can do things. So that was
right?
the way things were going to go, and she just totally, people, the only thing we wanted from her was an apology.
Yeah. And
She
the
did,
truth.
and she did me wrong, and then went around and told everybody I was on drugs. So if you must know, I'm on Medicaid in the state of Texas. If I was on drugs, I wouldn't be covered. And they take my blood all the time. I'm on my medication. I think I know what the wheelchair we thing was. Putin was bored, and I was trying to get him to stop barking at Lily. So I put him on the footboard of my chair, and I was going around in little circles with him so he would have something to do, because the dog, that's where he rides when I go places. He loves sitting on that and going for a ride. He stands up like he's captain of the ship and leans forward as I'm driving him on the bottom of my chair. So,
But not only that, Brenda, she lied about your friendship with Tommy. You and Tommy had become very close, and she said that wasn't true, that you and Tommy were not good friends, and,
yeah.
you know,
And she took
and that you
everybody
had
from
made
the
all that
show.
up. Yeah.
She
Hmm.
took she took everybody from the show. She took Brian and Tom Althouse, tried to take Susie, but Susie told her she wasn't leaving me because Penny said that this was her show. Susie and I started this show back in January. Okay. Penny helped us do some artwork and intro music and get some guests. But when we first started this show, it was me, Susie, and Andy would sit in with us. And I paid for a year for the platform. Well, somehow, after I gave her access to be able to log in as me so she could do some stuff, when all this blew up, I was locked out of my platform. And
Yeah, we forgot to tell that
stuff
part of the
was
story.
the stuff was changed. My passwords were changed.
And your money was taken, and it was
Yeah,
put into somebody
and,
else's account named
yeah.
Shepherd.
Well,
She
they said what
sabotaged
I
our
did was I
show.
had the IP address
Yeah.
traced. And they told me they couldn't tell me exactly where it was coming from, but they could give me two of the cities. And the cities were in between, um, by Louisiana
We were in
and
between the
Dallas,
cities. Yeah,
Texas.
and it was from a cell phone that a carrier that she used. Yeah. But we already knew it because she's the only person. I didn't even have any access to any of it. And
So,
you gave her sole access into this stuff, and then she deleted the show and took the money from the account,
so
which
I have now, thank Susie ended up giving me money to help pay for some of the stuff because now I have to pay for it month to month for a little while. And after paying for it for a year, God, we still had almost 7 months left on that thing. But, so, but I'm going to tell you, people, I was never angry even after all of this.
right, me
I was
neither.
never angry at Penny. I was hurt. I cried for like 2 or 3 days
You did.
because I
You
thought
really
she was
cried,
my friend. I did. And
right?
and and it hurt me so bad that this happened, you know? I mean, it's it's not, look, we don't want to slam her, we just want to clear this up. And there was a lot of stuff that Susie found when she went through that thing. And one of them was something that really irritated us, both of us. Because even myself, I've had $30 left in my bank, and I would send it to Penny to help her with dog food because she said she always needed it. Never once did she ever text me and say thank you. Taking money from people when she didn't need it, that's wrong. There were some people out there that live off of the measly stuff I live off of, $942 a month. And we have to pay our bills, and we're still giving her money for dog food for the horses. Do you know that Susie
Okay,
never did any of that
if you
ever?
could see this, this
Easy,
is okay.
just
This
just
is
put up
a
the
bank state. You see
yeah,
that? That is a bank statement of Penny. Now, Penny, the financial situation, I want to say something on that, Brenda.
yeah.
Penny was only giving me $200 a month for rent because Penny told me she didn't have any money. And of course, she was with me 6.5 years. I never once asked her how much money she got in her monthly account. I believed everything she said. I trusted her. And you could see there every month she had, $3,000 in her account every month, and she only gave me $200, and it didn't even pay for her electric bill. She and she was asking everybody for money for the dogs and stuff, and then she was going out and buying stuff for herself. Now she got from 3 to 5 packages a day from Amazon every single day. She was buying clothes, she was buying stuff, and I mean, I said, how could she be buying all this stuff? And then she said Dave was giving her money, and people were giving her money and sending her money for the dog food, and then, she weighs everything in dog food, but she had no bills other than her um, insurance on her car and her phone. And she kept buying a new phone every couple of years, a new iPhone or every year. I don't know. It's pretty often. But but she didn't have any bills, and I felt sorry for her because I thought she was, she had like $900 a month or something, which wasn't true. And so, I was supporting her the whole time, and then I was always and every time we went out to eat, I had to pay for it because she made out like she didn't have any money, and so she was deceiving me the whole time with and when she left all her stuff behind, I opened up one of her bank statements just to see the truth, and I said, "Oh my God, she had a lot of money." Okay, she had a lot of money. So I'm like, I can't even believe this. She was lying about everything. And and so then you begin to wonder, how deep are the lies? If she was lying about that for 6.5 years, and then she did this other thing and then she got caught in it, what else did she do? So I started reading those books, and in those books, she explains that she loves Lucifer. She says it over and over again. And she says that she was working for the CIA, and I guess she got fired or something, and she wanted her job back with the CIA. And she said in the book, she said, because I had asked her several times about what she believed in, who was God to her, and she said God is. She said when I was in a car wreck, I died and I came out of my body and I went before a council of men, and they were called the Government of Defense, God, Government of Defense. That's God. And I said, okay. And so in the book, she says that the Government of Defense are men that are in the CIA. The CIA is God, and that is her God. They are, and that she's a Luciferian. And she said that the man that she loved with, she called him Satan Yahweh. And she said, he is Satan, and I am also Satan because I love him. And so I was floored to read this kind of stuff from this woman that was telling me that she loved God. She was a vegetarian, but of course, the minute she left, she wasn't a vegetarian anymore. That's another story in itself. But it's nothing about this woman. Now, how did I meet this woman? I met her on Facebook. Okay, and she wanted to come and interview me because I talk to God and God talks to me. And she wanted to know what me and God talk about. So she said she believed in God, but I didn't know that her God was the Government of Defense, the CIA. I didn't know that, but that's what her diary says. Now, if anybody wants the proof of this, I have the books, I have the proof, and you can message me and I will give you anybody whatever they'd like to see in these books that she left. And so, but yes, I mean, it was very shocking that I was living with this person who wasn't who I thought she was. And then I began to say, oh my God, is this what a handler does? They come into your life, they choose your friends, they if they think that you're getting a little too close to somebody like Brenda, then they sabotage and they start making up stories and say, she's this, she's that, you got to get away from her, you can't, we don't want her around us. And you know I'm going to write your book, Susie. I'm going to do all this stuff. We're going to make movies about you, Susie. We're going to do all these things. And and so this is the person that you know so we've been in this community for a while. I never thought this was going to happen to me, Brenda. I mean, I hear everybody else saying that this stuff happens to them, you know, and boom, next thing I know, reality slaps me and Brenda in the face. And we realize, who is this person that we let into our hearts and our home, you know, and trusted, and I don't know. Do you have something you want to add to that, Brenda? Because I'm a little bit in shock after all this stuff.
Yeah. Um, you know, like I said on the show that I had to do about Rocco, people do these shows and appear on these shows, pour their hearts out to people that they think that are there for them, for their good, to help them. And when people come to us, we have to always be neutral with everybody. Never ever on our show do we ever tell a guest, oh, that's full of shit. We don't do that. And nor will we ever, because we know that everybody has a story.
Right?
But all I can say is people have to be careful with who they tell their story to. Because there are people that will take your story and give information to people and collect money for that information. I worry. I worry about a lot of people. There's stuff out there that has been said in certain areas and certain podcasts, and I just worry about where it goes. Susie and I have decided, and Tommy also, that unless it's somebody that Susie knows directly and has known, or somebody that I know directly and has known, or Tommy, we are going to extremely vet anybody that comes on this show again. Our trust circle's gotten very small. We definitely understand the, be careful who you trust thing. But we're definitely keeping that in mind. We're questioning anything and everything now, because now we've both been burned. The whole thing with Mr. Fowler tore me up. So, and this stuff with Penny did too, myself and Susie. And I felt so bad for her because after so long of the two of them being together, she had her heart poured into her. I myself didn't know her as long, but I thought she was my friend. I thought she was a good person. I thought I could trust her with anything, with any kind of secret. I thought that I could just tell her things. And she was always so good when I had a problem and I just needed to unload. She would have me call her and I would just unload. And she'd get me laughing. She would make me feel comfortable. Like everything would go away. She made everything feel better. And that day that I called her, that's all I wanted. I needed somebody to just say, I understand, and make me laugh and make me feel better. I entrusted in the wrong person to do that. But the reason why I didn't call Susie is because I knew she was busy with the ranch, and when she's busy, she doesn't answer her phone. And at that given moment, I just needed to unload. So we definitely are going to start being a little smarter with things. And Susie and I, sometimes it's hard. She might back up and say, oh, wait a minute, there might be something wrong. And then I'm on the other side going, well, let's see what happens. So we're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to do that anymore. If either one of us smells something that's wrong, we're dropping it like a hot iron. Okay? So we've decided that this is something that has to be done. We have to do it because it's a thing to protect ourselves as well as protecting other people that come on the show.
Yes.
I will never give out any more of my information for anything ever again. I can't risk that ever happening again because I can't afford that. So it's like Susie has to remind me every now and then, if I say there's something wrong and I smell something fishy, we might want to listen. And I'm like, yeah, I think so. So yeah, she has a lot of things that she learned from those things. And it's not like Susie makes it a point of being nosy, because she does not. She's a very trusting woman. So, right, Denise? So I think that for some reason, because the boys would have just picked those bags up and tossed them, but for some reason, Susie just had the inkling of what is all this? Brand new makeup, brand new clothes, brand new everything. That this
Yeah.
wasn't trash, but it was stuff that maybe she was hoping would just get tossed. And we just, I guess it explained a lot of things for Susie and for myself because we just could not understand why, what happened. And just telling her that I was going to be moving down there was stupid for her to just pack up and leave. All we wanted her to do was apologize. She was wrong. I apologized to her and I didn't even do anything. And I kept saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's like, I'm just, I was floored. And then when Susie went over there and found that stuff, and, you know, I asked her, where'd you meet her? She said, Facebook. Oh.
Right.
I think it was mostly me, Denise. I think it was me that was under the attack. So because she told everybody that, you know, Susie turned her back on her because of me. What'd she say? Her pal Brenda. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just felt so betrayed. And I was so hurt because, you know, Dr. Lampshade left the show. Brian doesn't come on. And I mean, I still talk to Brian on occasions and, say hi to Tom. I'll text him and see how he's doing and tell him congratulations on the stuff that he's doing. Um, but it hurt. It hurt both of us, you know? And I
It
was so,
did, Brenda, it hurt me that it really it was extremely painful. But here's what I did to divert the pain. I walked outside and I went out there by the trees and I just stood there and I said, God, thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything. Everything that I've learned through all of this. I just want to thank you. And had I had known, say, I said, God, had I had known all of this about Penny and who she was a long time ago, it reminded me of the story of Joseph in the Bible. Um, Joseph said to his brothers who betrayed him, he was sold into slavery and all this stuff happened to him and he ends up in prison and then he ends up having a dream and then he helps the king and he becomes over Egypt and he helps save his family through a drought as a result of it. And he says his brothers come to him and they think, he's angry and he says, you know what you meant for evil for my life. You meant to have me killed and have me sold as a slave and you meant all this evil for me. God meant for good.
yes,
And I said, had I have learned about Penny 6 months ago, prior to all this, I would have never met Brenda.
true.
So I am thankful for everything, and because Penny was on the show. Penny had Grizzly. Grizzly had Glenn. Glenn knew you, connected us. So even though this was all meant for bad, God used it for good, and so that's why I had to tell God, thank you for everything. I wouldn't have changed any of it because I would have not met Brenda. I wouldn't be where I'm at. I wouldn't have my friendship with you,
True.
and so I'm so thankful for that. So that's how I turned my pain into a blessing. And I
Yes.
just thank God.
Yes. And I'm glad that Tommy didn't leave us. Cause
Right?
cause he's our dude. He's our dude. I know Grizzly kind of like hooked us on it on all of us. And speaking of which, like I follow his oh, I haven't been in to
His
see a
show?
lot of his shows lately, because I know he went camping. I follow his TikToks, and he does, you know, communicate with me through them. Thumbs up, but that's about it. I haven't gone to any of his shows in a while, um, so, but and I sit here and I think about it. It's so funny because he's the starting point because he's how I met Glenn. So, and got to talking to Denise and Norma in his chat, and others. So yeah, and Kath, and I still talk to her. So through through Grizzly, we have like this whole big family that was kind of accomplished. So it's kind of funny when you think about it. But
And see,
um
I have no anger, Brenda. I have no anger, no anger. I'm
yeah,
really happy and thankful for everything because everything that has come has led to today. And so, I have no regrets. But I'm I'm going to listen to my intuition a lot better. I'm going to that little feeling that I get or that little I am not going to ever ignore those again. And if I get those, I will definitely say, Brenda, and so
something fishy going
you
on over
know,
here. Yeah,
yeah,
me too.
not going to
I
ignore
have
that ever again because
right, and I was
I
told
did have those feelings with Penny. I did have that. I did have that. So,
right,
and I just didn't know what to do with those thoughts, those feelings. I didn't know how to place them,
yeah,
but they were there.
and um, you know, I was told by that special visitor that came into my hospital room, that I needed to put one big shield on my heart because I am a very um, yes,
What?
Denise. Denise, I'm laughing at her. She's like, and if I see anybody on your show, and I'm going to tell you, like, okay, because actually she did say something about somebody once, and I was like, well, supposedly he changed and da 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 da. But hey, it's going to be first come first serve. I'm going to be like, yep, my people said you have to leave. So, but yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride, and I still really, to tell you the truth, you know, we get snippy every once in a while about her, but I still never really was ever angry at her. Like I said, I think I was more hurt than I was anything. You know, when you care,
Disappointed. Yeah,
yeah,
disappointed.
yeah, yeah, very disappointed. You know, and I hurt for you because I know that you put a lot into it, for so many years. So you know, but from now on, between me and Tommy, we're all going to watch each other's behinds, and I don't mean for any kind of a sweet routine. We're just going to watch each other and make sure that we're good, and people that come on are good. Um, so yeah, we just really wanted to set things straight.
But I'm so fortunate that I have you, Brenda, as a friend, and that this came from it. So, that's why it's like, landing on a feather pillow, that's because the getting you as the friend is the thing that keeps it from hurting, I think, to that point. You know what I mean? Because I
Right.
look at what I've gained out of all of this. Yeah.
Right.
I try. I'm always been called the optimistic person. Hey, I'm always looking at the positive side of everything. I always try to look at the, instead of looking at the negative. That they always said that when I was a child. Oh, you're very optimistic, and you're always looking at the good side, the positive side. You always look at, and that's. I think that's the way to be. I think
Right.
that's a happier. You can't dwell on the sadness and the bad things. You can think about it. You can laugh about it. You can, set it aside. But you go and you try to find the good. You know.
Right. Right. And me too. I mean, I'm glad that throughout this whole experience that I met you. And if you and we have any kind of a disagreement of anything, at least we know that we can sit and talk to each other and talk about it. You know, we don't have to yell and scream at each other. We're both grown adults.
Right.
You know, we're both, you know. And guess what, guys? I'm going to let you in on a little secret.
Oh yeah,
Topical,
this is a good
topical,
one.
topical skeptic, Rob Show. He has asked us to come on sometime in October. And I have decided that when I go on his show, I'm going to talk about something that I've never talked about before. And
Yay.
people have always wanted to know, but I haven't been able to say anything. So when we go over there, I want you guys to follow because you're going to hear why I'm where I am now, why I do what I do, and my story that put me here. I'm going to go ahead and put it out. So,
You're gonna tell your story. Yeah.
yes, I am. And I've decided
The
that I'm
first
going to
time,
do it
first
on
time that you
Rob
even.
Show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah.
That's good. I'm so
So we'll be sure
excited.
and let you
Yeah.
guys know when we're going to do that. I haven't talked to Rob to work out the details yet, but I really like watching Rob's shows. Woo knows about Rob's shows. So, yes, I've decided that I'm going to open up and I am going to let it out. So, yeah, I know. I know. I spoke with him today. He sent me a message today. Um, so it's hard to pin him down to talk to him. He does so many shows that it's hard to catch him in between, you know. But he's a nice guy. I like him. He needs to cheer up. He does. And I think that it's anybody who has been in the situations, especially for the guys.
Denise wants to know Rob who.
Um, he does a what? Put the Woo. Can you put the name of the podcast in the chat so Denise has it? I can't even half the time I can't even say it. I stumble over myself.
What's the name of the podcast? It's called Skept.
Top topical skeptic.
Or yeah, Skeptic. It's like a tongue twister.
You say skeptic.
Skeptic podcast, right? Is that right? Is that it?
There it is.
Okay.
Thank you, Woo.
Yeah, Skeptic podcast. Oh, paranormal. Okay, PSI.
Yeah.
Okay, typical Skeptic podcast, paranormal. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
And I'm going to. I've been talking to Tommy, and I've let Susie know we're thinking about doing a couple more shows a week. But I think what I asked Tommy tonight, would you like to do it on Bigfoot, cryptids, dogmen, stuff like that?
Hey, we should ask our guests what they would like to hear. What kind of guests would y'all like to hear?
Paranormal, all that stuff. So,
right?
So Tommy said to let him think on it, or if he wants to do the same thing. But I think that Tommy, it does him some good to not talk about his story and watching the same things over and over again. So I think that, you know, we yes, he does go on Rob's show. Yeah. And I think I'm gonna, because he asked me if I wanted to bring Susie, Tommy, or what. So I think that I'm gonna talk to Rob, and I think all three of us are gonna go ahead and come on there and be on there together. So, but we're waiting to see what kind of a show to do. But I was thinking, because I'm also part of the Bigfoot communities, so, and cryptids, and hopefully maybe I can get even Dennis Carroll on here a lot more when we do something like that, because he does real well with cryptids. And I can get other people to come on and do, you know, the Bigfoots, and I know Susie's Bigfoots out at her house are probably upset because they done cut down all their woods.
Well, they probably like it now. Like,
Yeah,
they're
they
like,
can see
"Ooh,
through the they can see through
look
it.
at
They
that
don't have to
creek."
move it. I
Just
know,
seen I
right?
had six dogs jumping into the creek today, and Joel's dog, she jumps in, she swims, she jumps out, she jumps back in, she swims, she jumps out. I'm like, she's so happy. There, the six dogs
Yep,
jumped all in the creek, and I mean, because now they can get to it real easy, and I mean, the dogs love it. So I'm like, it's so nice now, Brenda. I can't wait
yeah,
for you to see it all. Yeah.
yep. She's spreading out more property to grow her own hay, and that way she doesn't have to go out and go buy hay from another state, and she can
Right.
actually sell hay. I told her, I said, but you're gonna have to keep your horses and cattle out of there. They'll be eating it before you can even get it up.
Well, there'll be way more hay than, they're clearing about 180 acres of dense, trees that no grass could grow in. So it's, whew,
And good trees, my wall trees, my wall trees.
we're gonna be making a house out of some of those trees. Yep, we're gonna be milling it
Right.
and turning. Yeah, we've got pine and oak and cedar already cut and ready to go to the mill. So,
Yes. Yes.
hmm
So yeah, that'll be pretty awesome. And I think one of the next things that I want to see if we can talk Roger into is maybe outside of the arena, building a platform that goes as high as where the horse's saddle is, with ramp for me to get up there, so that they can saddle up that horse and bring it over, and I can
oh,
stand up and slide onto the horse so that I can go riding with Susie. Just not too many right hand turns, Susie.
right. We'll just
Because
keep it in the arena for a while, just,
right, that way if I
yeah.
fall off, well,
Hit the sand,
I
yeah.
hit the sand. Hit the sand. I miss riding. I used to own horses, and I have been around them. My daughter's dad's his father used to own them, and I used to ride all the time, and I miss it.
That's so cool.
so so it'll be kind of fun, even with one leg, get back up on there. I'll figure it
Right.
out. I will figure it out.
Hey, it's like riding a bike. You never forget.
Oh, I'm not worried about forgetting. I'm just gonna
You
have
know
a
what I mean?
conversation with this horse and say, look, if you go to the right, do it steady. Don't do it too fast. And no
Yeah.
running, because I can't squeeze to hang on. So let's just kind of take it easy with me, and I'll get you some nice, good carrots and an apple when we get back. So bribery works a long ways with animals, I've
Oh,
noticed.
yes. Treats. Horses love those treats.
Yeah,
Oh. Well, I think we had a good coming to Jesus moment there and
yeah. I think that,
expressed.
yeah, custom straps. Yeah, that might keep me up there. But I mean, sometimes it's just we let it go so long, and it just never got any better, and it just keeps coming back to us, that it's,
Yeah.
this is what, this is this and that, this is what's being said, and it's unfair to us because we lost quite a few people, um, that we really liked. And, it
You
now
know,
it
if
made
we
us closer with
lose
other
people,
people.
Brenda, if we lose people, it's we're supposed to. So
Yes,
it's all
true,
good, you know.
true. Yeah.
So,
And it'll
and
be all right.
because God knows what he's doing, you know.
Yes. But just always remember, we just keep it, protect yourself as much as possible. You know, listen to
And
that gut
listen to your
feeling.
intuitions, right,
Yep,
Brenda? Listen to
yep,
those little red flags. If
yeah,
if your little gut tells you something's not right, then it's not right. And you need to really pay attention, and you need to, you know, not ignore those things. And that's one thing that I learned through all this is I'm going to be more I'm going to listen to myself more. I'm going to
right. Me
I'm going to
too.
pay attention. I'm not going to ignore those things anymore,
Me
you
too.
know. Mhm.
Woo! I seen the video you did on them UFOs because I'm subscribed to your channel. I get notices all the time when you do them. I always go over there and watch those little clips. One day we got to get Woo up here on our show and bring some of his UFO stuff.
Oh yeah.
That'd be fun. Woo, you need to make an appearance one day. Yes or no? She's gonna be like, uh, I think it'll be fun. We're always up for a little bit of humor, you know. But yeah, Norma, the sports cat, that's Glenn. And after he left Grizzly, him and I kicked it around for a while, and I helped him start up his paranormal thing there. And I was with him for a while, but I decided that I wanted to do this. I wanted to do the Truther program. I wanted to be involved with the Super Soldier program and the survivors and all that stuff. I thought that, I actually tried to talk Glenn into doing this kind of show, and he was like, "No, I want to do sports and I want to do," and I'm like, "Okay, you go run for it." But I decided to venture off, and every now and then I'll make an appearance on his show, on his Saturday night show, usually. Like I was on it tonight for about 45 minutes before I came over here. So, um, but him and I have stayed friends, and yeah, he makes an appearance over here once in a while, says something in the chat to let me know he's here. But yeah, we
Brenda,
did we had to clear the air, girl. We needed
Brenda,
to. Yep.
Penny Bradley just texted me and said she thought we did a really good job of explaining things. And
Oh,
I want to say I'm sorry to Penny Bradley because I was told so many times by Penny Shepherd not to have anything to do with Penny Bradley, and she's so sweet, and I'm so sorry to that. And other people there, I have so many other people in the community too that I was told not to talk to, and I just send out apologies to everybody, and you know, um, yeah. So it is what it is,
yeah.
and we're gonna do better to try to get a grip on things. Yeah.
And we got to have Penny Bradley come back on the show. I really enjoyed her. She,
Oh gosh.
oh yes. I was thinking one night,
Yes.
maybe seeing if I could get her and Arkeem to both come on at the same time. That might be kind of neat too, because I know
Yeah. Right.
he really has a lot of respect for Penny Bradley. Um, so yeah, maybe we can work something out one night. Cha cha cha. We had to, when we had to do all this stuff with finding guests and stuff on our own, it hasn't been too bad because because Susie knew a lot of the same people Penny knew, so that was kind of okay. And then I ventured out and watch other podcasts and find people, and then there's people like Dennis Carroll, who I happen to adore that man's brain. And you know I also thought, well, if we do one on cryptids during the week, I've got DA Roberts and a lot of other people that are with the cryptid community and Bigfoot communities that I can contact to come on. So, um, you know,
Penny
I
just said that she would come on with our king. Yeah.
oh, that
Yeah.
would be nice. That would be really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to talk to Arkeem and let him know. I wanna do a show with both of them on there. I think it would be pretty neat. Um, but yeah, so we're clearing the air. And yes,
Clear in
Norma,
the air.
Glenn
So that
show
way, and
is pretty
nobody has to, you know, wonder what happened. Now you know. Now you know the rest of the story,
right.
as they say. You
And it
know.
it it, it is unfortunate because, like I said, I really thought that we had, a pretty good sisterhood. I thought
Yeah.
that the three of us were going to live together and always be around each other and
Accomplish
help
so
each
many
other.
things, and yeah.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
well, it didn't quite work out that way, and it's okay because I've got Susie. Susie has me. We both have Tommy. So, and we love Tommy to death. We really do. We love Tommy. There isn't really much
Yeah.
I wouldn't do for him, because he's just a great guy.
Yes.
And we we've met
And he
a
shocks
lot
us
of
sometimes with his
knowledge.
knowledge of what
Oh
he's,
my
he's a
God,
pretty
yeah.
smart guy.
Oh, he is. I've always known he's been pretty smart, just from talking to him. But
Yeah.
he uh, he is really he really does. He surprises me sometimes. Some of the stuff that he does know that I never really even thought about
Right.
talking to him about. You know, but he does. He floors me sometimes. And makes me laugh. You know. I was glad he went on the show with me that I did at 1 o'clock in the morning out of nowhere in my PJs, no makeup, ran a hairbrush, and I'm telling Susie, "You going on with me?" "No, I'm in my
I'm in.
pajamas."
I was in my Bigfoot
"So am
nightgown,
I."
and but I'll be there with you. I'll be, in the. I'll be like, I'm with you guys. Just yeah.
Right? And I thought that Susie was going to be the only one in the chat. And before I knew it, man, I had people in the chat. I was like,
Right.
"Oh,
1 o'clock in the morning.
1 o'clock in the morning. What are you guys doing awake?"
Have a bunch of night owls. Yeah.
Right? It really kind of shocked me. And that show's got like 113, 114 views. And,
I know.
I just, it was one of those, you know, kind of like an intervention without the intervention party being there. It
Yeah.
was like, and Brian put it well when he turned around and said that it was a plea for, basically he needs to start being right. So,
Yeah.
um, I wasn't sorry that I did it. I'm glad that I did, and it was heartfelt, straight up heartfelt. It really was because I really loved that kid. You know, we would sit and talk about the strangest things. Sometimes I would call Susie and say, "Okay, it's your turn to talk to Rocco because my brain hurts."
Right.
But we were trying to help. We were trying to help him. We wanted to help him. We wanted to see him do good, and it
Yeah.
just got out of hand. So, you know, and when Arkeem came to my defense and he jumped him, and it was like, no, 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 this cannot go on. This can't. Something has to be done. And we wish no ill feelings for him, nothing bad to happen. And same way with Penny. We don't wish anything bad to happen to her, and hopefully she finds what she's looking for. But she's just not going to find it with us.
Right.
We are ready to go on to bigger things, and um, this is the last time that you will hear anything about it. We just really needed to clear
Clear
the
the air.
air. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whose platform was what on? Uh, I'm not sure who's.
Oh, I think maybe when you did your thing, you came on live on Beyond the Box at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, it was
Uh,
on mine. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Norma's. That's right. Norma said she's not getting notifications, which I don't understand why.
It should be
She's
a bell a notification on your YouTube
Yeah,
thing.
maybe go on there and
Hey,
try.
did you ever get the Rumble thing
I don't
figured
even
out yet?
know. I don't even know if we're live on Rumble. I'm gonna have to send them another message, and so they can contact me again because it's got to be on their end because I have followed every step and stinking direction that there is by the book, and nothing. And I am so frustrated. I've never been so frustrated with a thing ever. No, I'm looking. Wait a minute. Hang on. Well, it's showing red. Hang on a minute. Are we live on
Are we on
here?
Rumble?
No, we're not. Doggone it. Oh, stop it.
Oh, we'll get it one of these days.
I set it off. Hang on a second. I got to turn this stupid thing off. Go over
Uh-oh,
here.
what did you do? What did you do?
I, I don't know. I'm trying to. I pushed a button and everything on my phone just started singing at me. I don't know. Yeah, you might have to unsubscribe and subscribe again, Norma. That might work. I don't know what
Right.
is going on. Oh, yeah, it was on mine. Tommy and I was talking to Tommy. And when and Susie on the phone, I was typing to Tommy. And I just decided out of nowhere after I calmed down, okay, that's it. I'm going to do a live. I'm going to brush my hair. I'm going to brush my hair and do a live.
And you did a good job. You did a really good job.
These
Yeah.
glasses are the blue ones for the computer. I got a clear set. The girl down the way, you know, of course, I make fun of them. They remind me of Alvin and the Chipmunk glasses. Or I know you guys, if you guys don't know who Jules and Cat Turd is, the cat
Hey,
that
Brenda,
is on there has these glasses. What's up?
let me clear the air about our guest tonight too, Danielle, a little bit
Yeah.
about Penny. Just I need to get that out there too because Danielle went to visit Tom Althouse, and she was invited to come to our house afterwards. So she came here and she met us. Penny invited her over here, and and then she's from Florida, and she's friends with Christy Tasker and all them. And um, she had told me about a prophecy or something that she had gotten or something, and she was going to meet somebody with a farm that had fruit trees and stuff like that. And I go, we have a farm with fruit trees and stuff like that. And she said that she was told that um, we were going to help her or something. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. It was really, and she's really nice and everything. So she went back to Florida, and after she left, um, uh, Penny told me that she had. I don't even remember the story correctly because it was so crazy that it didn't make sense to me. Like somehow she's with her husband and she sold her kids. She sex trafficked her own kids, and I don't even know. I mean, I can't even remember. It was just horrific. And and it was just like I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, she's really a bad person." And then and everything. Well, apparently I think Tom had a crush on her. Tom Aldhouse has a crush on her, but she just considered Tom a good friend, right? So so at this point Danielle went back to Florida, and she said she got attacked by all kinds of people saying stuff about her, and she didn't know where it was coming from. And I said, well, that's what Penny was saying about you. So Penny had made phone calls to a bunch of people and said all this stuff about Danielle, and then a lot of people started attacking Danielle. And so this is what I think happens in this community is somebody says something, and then they call everybody, and then they tell everybody this, and then everybody thinks that this is true, and then that person gets like gang stalked or attacked, or rumors get started or lies get spread. And then, and she said, so that's where it came from? And she says, oh my God, I did not know. And, you know, so she's an advocate for children, and stuff like that. And so she will be coming back on our show. What?
Norma, I have to tell you something else. I met a professional group of gang stalkers who are really not gang stalkers, and they're really not Satanists. Those people that were on my show that one night that were giving everybody such a hard time, I got sent a invitation, myself and a lot of other people that had Rocco on, to go watch a show that he put together alive. And I did. And I wasn't going to say anything in the chat, but they were talking about, other people showing up, don't block them unless they say something wrong. So he said, I don't even know if anybody's going to show up. So that's when I chimed in and said, don't speak too soon because I'm here. I said, but if anything nasty is said to me, I'll leave and I won't learn whatever it is you want to show me. So everybody in the chat apologized for the way that they acted in the chat to me. They were, they all seemed so nice. And, good night, God bless you. That's what I got. They were doing the stuff that they were doing for a reason, and is a pretty horrific reason, trust me. Oh boy. But they're not bad people, Norma. So if we see any of them in the chat, because every once in a while they may pop over here, it's okay. They're going to be all right. I'm
Yeah.
going to believe that. It's like,
You never know till you know, right?
yeah. And apparently there was quite a few of them that subscribed to our channel, because when I went live at 1:00 in the morning, although poor Norma wasn't getting the notification, they did. And they all showed up in the chat with Susie. I thought Susie was going to be the only one in there. And it was like, surprise. And they were like, it's nice to meet you, Tommy. And it was all right, So so it's one of those things where right now I think that's another thing that Susie and I have to work on. We're not going to go by what one person says. There's a thing that says that actions speak louder than words, and I really think that we need to start paying attention to that. Because what one person says, yes, Denise, but one person says about somebody may not be the exact truth. Like I said, we let this go with Penny for so long, but we are still getting backlash from it, and we're still hearing about it. And
that's why I asked for proof on when we were talking about Rocco. Somebody was saying something. I said, well, if you have proof, we'd like to see it. And then
boy,
you were given that proof. And that's why I said I do have proof of what I'm saying. And if anybody needs to see that, I have the proof to show.
Yeah. So we're gonna start paying a lot more attention, and we are just sorry that we had to spill this all out there, but we don't deserve to get treated the way we were treated, because it wasn't our fault. Susie never kicked anybody out,
No.
So we just hope that everybody understands that, that's why we had to come out here and clear the air. Danielle getting sick gave us the right time to go ahead and come on and talk about this, because we shouldn't have to defend ourselves ever as adults. You really shouldn't have to. Which was what we thought. That's why we never really did it.
Yeah.
But there comes a time when enough is enough, and we kind of had enough.
Well, and to me, it's about warning the community, Brenda. You have to warn people, hey, if you know that there uh, is someone who has you know,
Yes.
does things certain ways that could harm people, and you don't tell that other people and give them that opportunity to know, and you knew, then that's you're denying them the chance to protect themselves properly. So
Right.
we just put it out there so that you know we don't want it to be against us that we didn't warn you,
And
and so
like I
that
said,
if it does, yeah.
we still have been getting so much backlash from it, and people have still been running to us and telling us a lot of things. And may not be stuff that she says on the show, but there is stuff that she does talk about behind the scenes. And people were saying, maybe it's time you guys step up and do this. And well, so here we are. We didn't deserve it. Really didn't want to even do this because we were just like, okay, well, we're going to be the bigger people, and then maybe somebody's going to turn around and say, well, you know, all this was said,
You
but yet,
inspired me when you talked about Rocco, Brenda. You know,
dang it,
you
it's my fault.
you know, you did it with, you did it so heartfelt, and I said, that's I don't want to, you know, say anything negative or be negative. So it has to be, something that is said in a way
Yeah,
that isn't, meant to be negative, but yet
right.
informative, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, yep. Because we all felt at one particular point in time like we were thrown under the bus, ran over, and then backed up on, and then ran over again.
Yeah.
And so it's like, wow. And I told Susie, okay, well, if we do this, no anger, we're not going to yell, we're not going to scream, we're going to be humble, we're going to explain and clear the air because we need to clear the air. So, well, guys, it is almost time for us to go.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I know. We didn't even take a break tonight, huh?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, Norma, we inspire each other. We finish each other's dreams. We just, it's funny.
Right.
We,
Call each other all hours of the day and night.
oh yeah, we do. We do.
We do.
It's funny. I mean, my phone go off at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I know she's still up because I'm up watching her post videos, and she'll call me. I'm like, still awake,
Right.
are we? you know.
Yep.
I do the same thing to Tommy. I'll message him and say, "Are you awake?" And
Right.
I'm like, "Yeah." Can't sleep. I can't either. Okay. you know. Then I'll bore him to death so he goes to sleep. So but it works for everybody. But thank you guys
Yes,
so
thank you
much
guys.
for coming in. I don't have any of the schedules set up for next week yet, but I will be putting them out. Norma, go ahead and unsubscribe and then subscribe again so that we can see if we can get that kicked back in for you. YouTube has been having so many problems. I wouldn't doubt if they're having the problem, and that might be why I'm having a problem broadcasting on Rumble because I've been doing everything. I pay for Rumble, everything. I don't even know what's going on. We're fixing a box though, because if I
So
if
who do
I
we
had
have for next week, Brenda? Who's
um
you?
I don't know yet.
You said, huh?
I don't know yet.
Well, I was hoping to get Christine J. Hart, but
Yeah, that
you
would be
know,
on Saturday
we're gonna.
afternoon. So you got
Right.
to talk to her and find out, and
Okay.
then we'll figure out a Friday. A, a Friday.
Yeah. Right.
Let me. I'll message Arkeem this week, and we'll get a hold of Penny Bradley and see if we can work out maybe them coming on next Friday night.
Okay.
What do you think? Yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah.
I only do them like a week at a
Yeah,
time
and she's
because,
friends with Christine too, you know. So I was telling you,
yeah,
so might be kind
yeah.
of cool if we could get all three of them on the same show, right?
I know, Denise. We are gonna start doing a couple more during the week. But we're gonna jive with Tommy too and see how that works because his work week and all that stuff. And I know we have to be careful with Susie because she has so much that she does during the day with all the animals. So um, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. It'll always be good. And yes, Woo, you get to feeling better, and you have a good night. Denise, Norma, Julie,
Yeah, everybody feel better.
everybody have a good night, and thank you for putting up with us tonight.
Yes, thank you
And
guys for
yeah,
listening to us. Try not to be negative. We try not to. Sometimes our subject matter is a little negative. We're sorry. You
yeah,
know,
have to sit here and defend ourselves when we shouldn't have to, and you know,
right.
it is what it is. That's all I can say. So, but good night, guys, and we will see you next weekend. And you guys have a good week.
We love you
And
guys too.
yes, we do. We definitely love you guys. And always be kind to one another. Have a good night.
Goodbye for now, from Beyond the Box.
Please join us again for Beyond the Box, Friday and Saturday evenings, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Join us for more intel bombs from our extraordinary guests.
Good night, Putin. Good night, Tucker.